Positive. Focus. Fly. Keep growing.
Hey,
Good morning,
what,
car guys
what?
and car gals. It's Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And it's Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we are brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. Good morning to you. Do us a favor and get this all spread out.
You know
Tag
the
a
deal.
car guy.
Tag a car girl.
And share.
Share. It's important to share, man, because sharing is caring. And we have a great guest in the office today, right here in the cafe. I know we're not necessarily in our normal cafe. We are exclusively somewhere different. We're in the beautiful state of Michigan. It's a little cold up here. I was kind of hoping it was going to be a little bit warmer, but I'm all right with that. We're going to get warmed up today with our
Perfect for
guest.
the Car Guy Coffee hoodie.
There it is. Should have seen him earlier. He was all bundled up, kind of cold, and then he got kind of hot. But we're ready to get fired up this morning. We have somebody special just for you. Somebody who went from a veteran to a best-selling author. Man, corporate trainer. He's all the above. He's everything that you could imagine that you want to do in the automotive industry, and he's done it, and he's done it with a lot of faith and a lot of honor. And I love this guy. He's somebody that we had a chance to meet earlier in the spring. We know who he is before, but we got to meet him at their event down in Tampa. And while we were down there, he did nothing but honor us and made my heart fill up with love. And I'm so excited to have him on the show to talk about his future, about the things that he's working on right now. Man, I'm pumped up. How about you, Lou?
Man, I'm excited.
Am I right?
Am I right? I'm excited that we get the chance to honor somebody who has showed nothing but love and honor to us, such hospitality and truly just such warmth. Folks, inside of this industry, there's so many people that can be callous because they've been exposed to a lot. There's so many people that can say, hey, you know what? I don't really want to share what it is that I have with you because what I have is for me, right? And that is the culture that we are trying to break the shell off of. Folks, there are so many great people that are in this industry that are actually out there to help you. And I am just so thankful that we have somebody that literally is named. I mean, his name means beloved, right? And
That's
I
right.
love that we have another incredible guest that sits on this show that's operating with the name of being beloved. Folks, this is exactly what it is that you need to hear today, is that you are loved and you can do great things if you lead with that love. But folks, we have so much of an adventure that we've been on, and I want to make sure that you are keeping up with what is happening. So make sure that you check us out on carguycoffee.com. Check out the podcasts that have been getting released. Also, just check out some of the lives and see some of the places that we've been and some of the great solutionaries that we've been hanging out with. There's so much that's going on right now, but the door has been opened for so many of you to be able to go where it is that the Father has sent you to go, what it is that you are designed to do.
Yes.
And I'm excited. We just got out of car church, so I'm feeling so ready to rock and roll.
He's ready to throw
now.
a testimony out there. He's like,
go.
I'm a witness.
Come on.
Right now, I love that. We had a good time. We prayed together. We loved together, and we shared together. And that's something that we need to do as human beings. We need to leave all our old perspectives, all our old intuitions, all our old, like what we thought about people behind, because it's about looking at people like people. It's about helping people because we are people. Treating your neighbor like you want yourself to be treated, not like how you would treat a neighbor. Like, because if we would treat neighbors the way you've been treating them, it's not a good thing. You want to treat them how you want to be treated. And when you treat people with the same vigor that you would give your family, then everything works out great. Your heart will be fulfilled and they will be fulfilled. Matter of fact, they'll start to reach out and do the same thing. But we all have to be examples. And being a leader, that is the key. It's to be an example. It's to be what you want other people to be around you as a leader, right? But that doesn't mean you're perfect. None of us are. We're all going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to make mistakes because every time I do, I know I got something I just learned what not to do, what I can do better, and how I can help other people not do the same thing. So mistakes are wonderful, folks. We're supposed to make them. So don't worry about if you make a mistake. It's the question is, what do you do with that mistake?
Yeah. The mistake never defines you.
Amen.
Your daddy does. So let's get ready to get this pumped up. And I mean, really, folks, we have an incredible guest. And I'm just so honored that we're hosting another host. I love hosting great hosts inside of the industry.
No doubt.
So let's get ready to rock this out, get this music moving. We got to get this all jazzed up because we have an incredible solutionary here with us today. And we are getting ready to rock this out. He's already making his moves happen in the background. Don't you stop right now. Car guys and car gals, help make welcome to the Car Guy Coffee Podcast, the one, the only Dave
Cribbs, this guy right there. Look at him. He's boogieing. He got his drink. He's got his coffee. He's ready to go. He knows how to brew. Folks, we are so excited. Dave, what's going on, brother? How you doing this morning?
Oh my gosh, man. I was smiling ear to ear from the moment your intro started. What an amazing intro you guys have. And I don't know how I'm going to live up to the personal intro, but I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Dude, you live up to it just by being here and just by being who you are, man. And we are honored to have you here, and we are blessed to have you here. So congratulations on all your accomplishments and your future that's coming up. I know there's some great announcements. We're going to get to that. But before we do anything with any of our guests, we always have to throw up the 3 Fs, right? Because that is how you keep growing. So before we go any further, let's make this thing happen. Lou, explain.
All right. So we all know that we have been forgiven much. So in that, we must forgive.
Amen.
Right? So the weight of unforgiveness can be like a chain with an incredible boulder that is holding you back from going where it is that you want to go, where you're designed to go, and where actually you've been sent to go. But that weight could be like just keeping your hands here. Your hands are all tied up with that weight. You got to wipe that off.
Yes, you do.
And then your hands are free. And what do you do when your hands are free? You get focused. You block out all of the distractions. You block out all of the things that can take you off of the path you're supposed to be going, and you get zeroed in to where you're supposed to go. Once you get focused, then you stretch out in faith and you begin to fly. And once you're flying, well, then you keep growing. You keep.
That's right.
Growing. So join us real quick as we do the secret handshake. He's already done it with us before, folks. He already knows these moves. Okay,
he knows these moves,
right? But let's go ahead and do it for everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Forgive, focus, fly, and keep growing. Keep growing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come on.
That is right. I'm pumped up, positive, and productive right now because I have my man flying and keep growing right now. So pumped up, man.
I got a lot of bounce in these pillows over here.
I'm excited. I'm so excited right now. Oh man. So before we go any further, we do this 5-liner. And this 5-liner is a lot of fun because we get to ask you questions, get to hear about your past, how you got to where you're at, what motivates you. So let's start it. First question. What is your why? What drives you every single day to wake up and be the best version of yourself?
Oh my gosh. So I think it's similar to probably most people's. And the why for me is the others, right? Like, for example, my daughter, my fiance, those who I want to come through for. That's really my why. And I'll keep it that simple.
I love that, and keeping it simple sometimes is the best thing to do because it is true. We can get into detail of why, but I think most people understand because that's your passion, that's your heart. So when you're sitting there and you have nothing to motivate you, all you got to do is turn to that. When you don't want to do that, when you don't want to wake up early, when you have that appointment that just seems like, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing it for them. You're doing it for love for them. So understand that. And when you do understand that, man, it goes so much better and so much further than you could ever imagine. So find that why. Use that as your drive. Use that as your reason why when you don't want to do something that just stinks, something you're just not happy with, right? So use that. Oh, we got like hotel house cleaning trying to knock on our door right now. So I'm gonna let Lou do that.
Great.
But while we're doing that, real quick, what about that makes that a why for you? I know it's simple, it's easy, but what about your family is motivating you?
Well, I think there's this. I don't know that it's necessarily just a male thing, but there's certainly a weight for me personally that of provision, right?
Yes.
I have the ability. So if I'm not using that ability, I almost feel like I'm cheating my family, those who, stand to benefit from the abilities that I have. So I think maybe that's, a little bit deeper version of that.
I love that. And that is, I like how you it's exactly right. Because you have the ability. We all have the ability. Sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we just don't want to do it because we feel like it's too much or it's overloading. The why is key. Once again, the why is what gets people there. I've never met a person that has success, or at least some sort of success in their life, that did not have a why behind that. And I think that is the key. And that's why that's my first question with everybody. Am I right, Lou?
You're right, brother. So with that, I want to touch this real fast because there is an element where we do tend to lose some of that central grounding that we are designed to be loving, not just our family, but our extended family, those that we work with, those that we do life with, that we do church with, that we are in the community with. And inside of that, if we're not grounded into understanding why we have value for each of them, there's something that you have inside of every relationship that is supposed to come from you, whether it's the encouraging words that you have, whether it's just being the supporter, whether it's being one that does help arm and equip other people to do great things. You being centered on that why helps you to achieve all those things. And I don't know if you guys are watching this now or you're hearing this on the podcast in the future, right? There are so many of you that are trying to find that why and trying to zero in on that. I encourage you to dig deep, really deep, into the things that truly bring you joy. The word says that the joy of the Lord is our strength, right? And perfect love drives out all fear. So when we're operating inside of love and we're operating inside of joy, we're strong, we're fearless, and we actually have capacity to take on more and more relationships with our friends, with our brothers, with those that we're designed to do life with. Why would you say it is so important for people to get grounded on that? I know that I can throw a whole lot of words on this, but Dave, what is it that you've seen as far as somebody that's anchored to a why compared to somebody that doesn't have an anchoring? Where would you see there being a difference be with those? This is just kind of a bonus extra.
Yeah. So, when I think about it, I think about the fact that, hey, man, we get ungrounded. Even the best of us, we get ungrounded all throughout the day. So I think the maybe what makes a person a little bit more grounded, if you will, or have experience a little bit more success in whatever area that is, could be, personal, relational, business, whatever that might look like, is how fast we get back on track. So again, I make mistakes all day. I second guess myself. I do different things, and I'm sure that many of us do, but it's how fast do you recover from that? And if you can focus a little bit more on the recovering as quick as possible to overcome, then I think that for me has served me well.
Focused on the recovery. I love that, because a lot of times we can get so distracted and focused on the injury, right? On what happened, what went wrong, what can't I do now that this injury occurred, rather than saying, wait a minute, why am I sitting still? Why am I sitting in traffic for just a little bit longer? Why am I not on that plane that I was so supposed to be on, right? What is it that can happen in that? Why am I sitting inside of a bed during recovery right now? I broke a leg, I went through a surgery, whatever the case is. What is it that's happening, instead of the woe is me and man, this all so sucks so bad? What can we get out of that in recovery? Because it's not just the thing that's broken that's in recovery, it's also your spirit. That's the thing that gets people the most, right? Is the spirit of them when they're in that mode of being either immobile or not feeling well, whatever the case is. It's so important that you just remove that distraction. Don't get focused on the injury. And I love that you focus on that recovery. That's strong, brother. That's good stuff.
That's really strong stuff. Obviously I think he knows a thing about a thing or two.
A thing or two.
So
a thing or 12. Or a thing or
it's very true, and I think that this subject is a big deal. That's why it is our first question, and to dig deep into it, I think that people out there, sometimes they lack that, or maybe they don't realize that's what's missing, or that's what they need to focus on when they're in those pits. So, man, thank you. Great answers. Great stuff.
So let's figure this out, Mr. Dave.
Yeah.
Brother, what was it that brought you to the automotive industry?
Oh, Well, you know what? As you mentioned in the intro, I was in the Army, fresh out of school, went into the Army, served 2 enlistments, about 5 years. And I got out and I came home, and I knew that I had too much of an entrepreneurial kind of spirit, if you will, to make a career out of the Army that I was in. I loved it, and it was great experience. And I commend everyone who serves. In fact, I have a son that has more time in than I did currently, and he's probably going to retire. But for me, I just felt like I had this itch to get out in the world and try to do something else. And I came home back to Florida, and I always loved cars. And I found out that my aunt had started selling Nissans. So I called up my aunt. She had only been working, I think, 3 or 4 months. Now, granted, this was in December of 1989, so I'm giving away a little bit of my age and time in the business. But in December of 89, I called my aunt. She had been at a Nissan store for 3 or 4 months, started selling cars. I called her up and I'm like, hey, how much money could I make if I was selling cars? And she said, Dave, she goes, not many people make it, but if you can make it, you could probably make $30,000 a year. And I'm like, are you kidding me? $30,000? I'll be rich.
Yeah.
I'll be rich. And quite frankly, that is what attracted me to the car business in the first place. And when I walked in the store and I sat down with the gentleman who interviewed me, he began to tell me, as in his position as a new car manager, he was making right around 6 figures at the time, right around 100 grand. Well, 100 grand back in 1989, that was like presidential money, right? So my ears perked up, and that's actually how I was initially attracted to the auto business.
What?
Yeah, I know that it's amazing. A lot of us do it by accident, in a sense. We hear somebody's story that says, hey, you can make X amount of dollars, or I made X amount of dollars, and you're like, what? And your ears pick her up, right? Like that entrepreneur thing.
Go on.
I know what you meant, right? Go on, tell me more, right? So like, I remember the same thing for me. I've heard something similar, and when I heard it, I was dumbfounded, like, what? And I asked them, where'd you go to school for this? I don't even have a high school diploma. I'm a GED. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? What am I doing, right? So of course it was always there, and I think that it's a blessing, and we're thankful that you found. I'm glad that you said it was your aunt, right? And I'm so glad that you ran into her and she told you about this business. She told you about the whole big $30,000 you can make. In 89, though, take this in mind, folks. In 89, 30 grand was big money. I mean, military, you probably were knocking down 15 grand a year, maybe, when you were in after 5 years, right? So when you got a chance to come out and you're doubling your income overnight, you're like, what is going on? And I don't have to worry about going AWOL or getting in trouble, Article 15s. I could literally just go sell cars and have fun. So, I think that's great. I think that it's really cool that you sat down with a manager, and I think that's what happened to Lou and I. We sat down with a really good manager our first week in business, right? And when we sat there and they told us what the opportunities were in this business because of what they've been through, man, did it make me go, whoa, hold on a second. It's so big. This is so much opportunity. We need to do this. And when they tell you, hey, they see the same thing inside you, then you really get encouraged. You're like, okay, I could really make this work. And we all had that feeling. There's a reason why we all just said, hey, let's go do a commission job and let's sell cars to people that we don't know, because we all have that inside of us. We know that we're people, and we love to help, and we also love to make money. So this business worked out really good with all that stuff. By helping people, you get paid. What? And you get paid really well if you hustle and if you work. And what I found really quick, and I'm sure Dave, you found the same thing, was 80% of the people on the floor, there was no competition. It was like that top 3 or 4 salespeople that you had to sit there, learn from, I listened to, and then you try to get in their spots, right? You try to get up to the top level with them and within them. And it was almost like easy, because the 80% of them just kind of went by, just like most people. They kind of just go by in life. They're happy with that little check, and they say, hey, look, I sold 1 car this week. Yay. Right. And it's the Excalibur comes into play, right? When you jump in, some people come in and some people do extremely well, and some people come in and they try, but it's just not their thing. Thankfully it was your thing. Obviously, right. You're a corporate trainer. You've been training people all across the world, really. Mm-hmm. You've been able to do a multitude of things. You've been a podcast host. You implement so many different training things, like auto dealer. I mean, come on, we can keep going about what you've done. There's so many beautiful things that you've done, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but man, blessing after blessing. I'm so glad you got in this business. When we get in this business and when we do the things that we do, we run into people that are really like influential to us. You know, you talked about that manager that said, hey, I make almost 6 figures a year. And like you said, in 89, that was presidential money. That's still pretty good money now, but nothing like it was in 89. 89, that was long money. And so like when you run into these people, there's been people who influence you. There's been people who have helped you. They've been people who said, hey, make this pivot. And it's been the right choice for you. If you were to name one or a few, doesn't matter, who would those people be that helped you make that pivot in your life?
Oh, this is a short list and it's really simple.
That's awesome.
That first guy, by the way, that I sat down for that interview, I worked for him for 15 years.
Oh, man.
And he is my mentor, one of my best friends to this day. He owns a staffed event mail marketing company.
Awesome.
And I traveled all over the U.S. with him, helping him launch that and doing staffed events and walking into dealerships we'd never been in. And that was just a really cool part of my career as well. But his name is Matt Coffey, Matthew Coffey. A lot of people out there in the world will know him in this business. And then, of course, my connection with David Villa, right? Connected with David Villa in 2014. I went out on a limb. This is a crazy story, by the way. I'll make it real short.
No, don't.
No,
Just bring it.
Show, brother.
Bring it. I want to hear this.
Thank you. Around 2014, I just felt like I've held every position in the store, from salesperson to GM, internet manager, finance manager, used car, new car. I mean, you name it. And I've experienced it. And I got to a point in 2014 where a dealer had me on as a GM and they wanted to sell out the store. And I had to kind of make a decision on what I was going to do. And at that time, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start training myself. I've had a passion for it forever. That was my big thing when I was in the stores, was developing others. And because someone developed me, that gentleman I mentioned earlier, Matt Coffey. So I said, I'm just going to start from scratch. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to put up some trainings and I'm just going to see what happens. And I put up a video, and I think 2 days later, I got a call from David Villa. I happened to be looking for a trainer. And then I saw a picture of him, like, dude, I know you. And I talked to this guy every morning at Starbucks. Never knew he was in the car business.
Holy guacamole.
And so it was definitely a God thing. So
yes,
bottom line is, I went over for an interview. He said, I want to bring you on board. We have this vision. We're a marketing company, but we also want to take all of our clients and also offer them training while they're on our advertising program. And so the vision was to create Auto Dealer University, an online training platform. And the vision was to have multiple trainers. And so that it wasn't personality driven, like nothing wrong with that. But we wanted something that was a little bit different, that had a lot of diversity in the training. So fast forward a few years, and we got that launched. And now the owner of that company is David's father, Michael Villa. He sold out to him Auto Dealer University. And I'm still the lead trainer there. We have about 40 trainers across the U.S. And the really cool thing about that platform is that not only do we have about 40 trainers, but I would say over half of the trainers are managers that are running stores right now. So you're getting real-time training from successful dealers that are sharing what they're doing to succeed. It's just an amazing platform. So back to the question, Matt Coffey, David Villa in 2014. And then about a year later, I discovered, don't know how I missed it even that long, but around 2015, I connected with Grant Cardone. Mm-hmm. And I got his attention through some things. I was able to go down and spend some quality time, just myself and him. And that was, back in 2015. I probably couldn't get that opportunity now.
He's so busy nowadays,
because we all know how much in demand he is. But the point, though, is that those are really probably the three major players in as far as personal influence. And then I can look around the world of the car business and name a million others like Jim Ziegler. And, I could go down the list of dealers that I've had the pleasure. And that's one of the great things, as you guys know, about what you're doing, is the ability to, if you got nothing else out of this, the ability to connect with all of these top leaders in our industry is just a crazy blessing.
It is. It's a massive blessing. And man, I love that you're talking about Matthew, Dave, and of course, Grant. Those three are amazing people. And, I think that Matthew, that's a blessing that you had him when you jumped in. It's funny because our first manager was a Matthew also, you know, and it's a very biblical name too. So it's like, it's really cool that you had that influence in somebody who helped you walk through life. Now, Matt Damos was somebody that I've worked with for pretty much 18 years. You know, so I know that loyal thing. I know that when you find somebody that's really always there to help you pivot, always there to help you make that change and not scared to let you go when he knows it's the right time for you to go and fly on your own, right? And it's, they don't get me wrong, they get sad, but they want you to be the best version of yourself. You know, I know Dave's the same way, just like you are, you know, and of course, Grant Cardone, like you said, he is totally in demand right now. Like, unbelievable what the last 6 years has done for him. He's always been a staple in automotive. Now he's a staple in entrepreneurship, period.
Everywhere.
He is everywhere, and he's definitely somebody that we can all look at and say, hey, he was a car guy. Let's go, Grant. Let's go, right? But much like you, you know, we're sitting here and we're talking about a lot of things. You know, there's a lot of accomplishments that you've put together. You named a bunch of people. You sat down with Grant Cardone and had conversation one-on-one, and you guys were spitballing with each other, understanding how to help each other grow. I'm sure, like anything else, it was a two-way street. You took some from him and he took some from you, bro. And that's an amazing thing. You did that with all three of these people. I promise you, Matthew thought the same thing, and so does Dave currently, right? And that is what's so great. Now, you talked about 40 trainers with Auto Dealer University across the nation. And I love what you said. There's a lot of active managers currently in stores that are with boots on the ground. They know what's going on. They're listening to the train tracks, making sure something's going down, right? They know how to be able to tell you how to navigate through today's automotive, not something that they did 10 years ago. Now they've been sitting office training. No, they're doing everything. And you, what I love about that is you mentioned that, and you, I guarantee you talk to these people, you're learning, you just like us, we interview people. I learn every day. I've taken notes, already taken half a page of notes, just sitting here talking to you, you know, and that is what's so beautiful about talking to people, engaging with people, is you need to learn something from every conversation you have, folks. And I think Dave has been very fortunate to have great conversations, as we can see, with people that have been able to pass things on to him, and he's been able to pass things on to them. And that is legacy, my friends. That is legacy.
That is legacy. And what I love is that we're talking about how current it is that we have these lessons that we're getting. And it's not for yesterday. And a lot of it isn't for tomorrow, because you don't have it yet.
No,
we don't have tomorrow.
It's not guaranteed, folks.
Right? It is for now. And that's literally the name of the mastermind group that you all pulled together, is the Now Mastermind. And folks, I want to go ahead and put a plug in there real fast, because that is coming up quicker than you know, and that's going to be in December. Tell us a little bit more about that before I drop a little other David on here to talk about it.
Well, my gosh, you know, if you've, well, you guys have been, so you know firsthand, but if you've ever been involved with anything that David Villa and the team at IPD put together, it's they pull out, you know, all the stops, and they have a team that actually, like a concierge team, if you will, that's taking care of the guests while they're there. They do a lot of exposure and publicity for different dealers and vendors. And I really call them industry partners more than vendors. I hate that term, actually.
I love that, actually, industry partners.
But our industry partners, we do a lot of spotlighting. But the best thing, the biggest thing, is that you know how difficult it is to grab dealers, GMs, and owners of stores and pull them out of their environment and bring them to a quote unquote, you know, car gathering. They live cars, right? So get them to stop what they're doing, come here to actually get more education, more relationship. And I actually probably should put that one first, because we're rubbing elbows with the best of the best in the country. And the last one attracted about 40 different dealers from across the US. We were packed. Now we're trying to figure out, and we have a huge facility, but we're trying to figure out how we're going to pack in 60 of these same caliber dealers. And as you guys know, it's an incredible experience. It absolutely flies by, feels like no other conference, if you will. We're all in the same room, and we're all really collaborating. It's like a 3-day whiteboarding session for dealers. It's amazing.
Love it.
It's phenomenal, and it is nothing but love in that room and sharing and literally sharing. Everyone is sharing. I've seen people taking notes, taking pictures, taking videos because they want to bring this back to their stores and to implement them immediately. This is something that's an opportunity for you dealers out there, for you vendors that really want to learn something and maybe share what you have. You know, check it all out. I'm gonna tell you, we had the opportunity to be there, and it was such a blessing. It was probably really the way it really built so much more inside me than people could ever imagine. That day was very divine to me.
Yeah, it was.
It really made it. I started having visions that day. It's weird, but long story. But we'll talk about that another day. But
it was an incredible.
But it was a beautiful event. The people there were top notch. Like he was saying, it is industry leaders across the country sharing and talking about how they're doing different things like across the nation. This is what works for us with this. This is what works for us with that. And we're sharing, and we're like, people, it was beautiful. It really was a lot of fun. It was now.
It was. And that was then, right? So let's talk about what's getting ready to come now. Car Guys and Car Gals. Check out
IPD agency in Tampa, Florida, and founder of Now Automotive Mastermind. Listen, June 7th, this past June, it was an amazing time. Myself, our staff here, we had 45 dealer principals and general managers just like you here in our Tampa offices for an incredible mastermind. And listen, I'm talking about some amazing ideas, some extremely difficult challenges were shared, and listen, solutions were born and conceived right there in that room. Dealers left there talking about how incredible it was. Look, I believe that iron sharpens iron, and so we're doing this again, and we're doing it bigger, and you are invited. It is totally free, no charge. However, it's limited to 70 dealers and GMs. Only dealers and general managers are invited, but we want you here in Tampa, Florida. It is December 6th. It's a Monday, and it's a half a day on December 7th on a Tuesday. Let me just explain to you what we're doing really quick. We're going to be talking about the subjects that came out of you and your colleagues. I'm talking about recruiting. We're going to talk about a hot topic right now, talent acquisition and high performance culture. We're going to talk about handling staffing needs. You and I both know in this season right now, that's a hot topic. We're going to talk about training. Listen, training is necessary, but if you train the same way you did 20 years ago today, or even 2 years ago, you're missing the boat. We're going to talk about retaining. Retention is big. We're going to talk about how to combat. This is a big one right now. The competition working to take your team, and selling without inventory. Can I get an amen? Selling without inventory and used vehicle acquisition. If you didn't amen the last one, you amen that one. Amen. These are subjects that are hot right now. We're going to talk about this December 6th and December 7th. One more thing I want to tell you. December 7th, we're actually going to have this part on site at a local dealership. Furman Chevrolet in Tampa, Brandon. We're going to have an on-site kind of like reality deal. We're going to do reality drills, desking scenarios. We're going to have live meetings. We're going to have some real live BDC exercises, right? Live calls in front of everybody. Some things you've never seen. Mastermind out of the box. Look, the speakers are dealers just like you, and it's not an event like a conference. It's a mastermind. It's open floor. So you're all can weigh in. But Mike Savoda, he's a general manager of Buchanan Chrysler and Chevy. He will be sharing. This guy's taken his store, Chevy store, from 50 to 271 in the last 2 years, including record months over the last 2 months in pre-owned sales. Also, we have Matt Lasco, owns Lasco Ford, Waterford Mitsubishi, Grand Blanc Mitsubishi. Matt's going to be with us. We have Brad Wise. He is the executive GM of Furman Chevy, from 350 to 750 new and used over the last 3 years. That's an incredible task. And then David Moss Jr. owns 3 Nissan stores and an Acura store here in the Bay Area. You don't want to miss this. It's limited to 70. Get down here. We'll have lunch, dinner. We're going to hang out. It's going to be really, really cool. We'll see you down here.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. That's going to be exciting. And he's so right on the money with that. You're talking 70 dealers, exclusive. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about going to Furman Chevrolet and checking out what they do there, the training. I'm looking forward to looking at the BDC, seeing all this stuff. Who goes to a mastermind and gets to see live action sales? Who gets to participate in desking deals, taking turns, getting to see the call center? Are you kidding me?
Seriously.
That is fire, bro.
That's like a car guy field trip. And I love it.
It is a car guy field trip. That is exactly right.
Dude, when's the last time you saw 60 dealers inside a dealer watching them do live business? That's insane.
That's never, and that's what's so beautiful about this network of people. They're sharing. There is no secrets, folks. Here's the thing. Half the people will take a horse to water, but half those horses, most of them, will not drink it. And that's the problem. But that's why when you get together with people like we're going to be at this Now event, they all want to drink the water. They're all thirsty, and they got cups ready to scoop up as much as they can to go back and share with their family. When their cup is overflowing for everyone else back at their dealership family, they're gonna pour into them, man. And when you pour into people, when your cup is overflowing, it's exciting. It's super exciting. There's nothing better than an energized GM, owner, sales manager, finance director. It does not matter. When they're motivated and they are pouring into others, you cannot be stopped. You will break records. You will do things that you've never done before. I'm excited, man. That is super pumped. That was a good video.
That's a great video. They got a whole lot of them. Make sure that you go check them out. Get yourself all jazzed up and excited to go out to this event, because it is going to be a great event. Again, for us, it was something that helped to solidify, but also send us into the direction that we were going in, right? We were already scheduled to be a digital dealer. We were already set up to start doing the things that we were doing, but we had the opportunity to jump inside of that mastermind with some incredible industry leaders.
I learned so much that day.
We admire, we look up to, we honor tremendously. And then they reciprocated that honor back to us. And we were like, we didn't even know if anybody even knew who we were inside of the room, right?
True.
And it was like, it was so surreal to us. I mean, we left there that night. We went and bought Happy Meals because we were that happy, right? We felt like kids.
McDonald's Happy Meals because we were that happy. That's not a joke.
Seriously,
He's being serious.
not
We
a
left
joke.
there and we did that because we're like, dude, this is like the best day ever. And that's how that event makes you feel, folks. They make everyone in there feel included. They make everyone in there understand what their potential is. They are just like us in a lot of ways, just like you folks, all you solutionaries out there. They want everyone to be the best version of themselves. That's it. And if they're going to show you how to do that, they understand that no one is perfect. There's only been one perfect person to ever walk this planet, right? And that's okay. None of us are supposed to be. He died for us because we're not perfect. And that's great. And I'm so blessed that we have that honor, right? But here's the thing. Once, like we said at the beginning, just like with your why, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. But if you never try, then that's the only mistake you can really make.
You never know.
Man.
So I encourage you all to meet us down there for that event.
I'm
Because
pumped.
this will be a great, great event. And understanding that we are going on a Car Guy field trip, that is something that is historical. I can't think of another mastermind that's ever taken that many people to run through a dealership and see it that way. But if you really want to get some hands-on understanding, seeing it is way different on a board, whether it's a paper board or whether it's a dry erase board, and hearing all the philosophies come out and passing a microphone, but getting ready to jump up inside of a vehicle, roll over to the lot and see things live and in action. That's some other level stuff that this hands-on learner loves to get. But I want to learn a little bit more. I want to get a little deeper into this talk with my man, Dave. Dave, I'm sure inside of this, the Army career or the time that you spent inside of the military, the time that you spent inside of the car
check it out.
business.
While he was an Army vet, I'm just going to do a quick little side note on this. He was an airborne air assault jungle demolition expert, folks.
What's up, Airborne?
That's cool, man.
Come on.
That is like the coolest job ever, right?
That's the job kids
It's a scary job and that's a dangerous job, folks. That's the other side. But it is so necessary. It was so necessary and still is necessary in our military and our members. And people like that, people who take on jobs like this, have a huge heart. They're out there trying to do things that are dangerous. Think about that. Demolition expert. Come on.
That's called selfless.
That's called boom, taking care of like a whole, like if you need an opening in the jungle, it's gone, right? It's taken care of. But airborne, folks, that's a big deal also. I don't know if you guys know much about military and Army, but being an airborne, big deal. So, man, honored to have you on a show and honored to talk about that with your past military career, man. Because I know it's in the past, but you are a veteran, and we both are veterans. He's Army, I'm Air Force.
Always a soldier.
And honor that, man. We appreciate your service also. So,
and we do. And so inside of that, I want to know, with all of that careering that you've done and all of that jumping out of airplanes and helicopters and doing all the stuff that you've done, you've had some great challenges. You've had some great victories in this industry. But what has been the hardest lesson that you've had to learn up to today?
Ooh, that's a big one, man. That's a big one. I guess I could say maybe stepping out, because stepping out and getting in front of people. So, for example, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they say that the number one fear that people have is public speaking, and that goes in front of even dying, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So that has been my number one fear my entire life, is speaking publicly. And ironically, that's a lot of what I do, right? Train, speak. I've spoken on stage. I've spoken on the keynote stage at Digital Dealer. I wasn't the keynote, but one of our spots was on the keynote stage. And of course, I've spoken at many conferences, emceed, hosted, podcast for 9 years. I mean, when I say that, people kind of like think I'm joking, but every time I speak, I'm scared to death. But here's what I figured out. I figured out it was the number 2 fear for me, because the number 1 fear was not being heard.
Oh, man.
Not being able to experience the things that I wanted to experience, where the only path was speaking. And sometimes that even just boils down to speaking to a customer, right? Especially picking up the phone and calling someone cold out of the blue, right? And with the idea that this might lead to a sale. So even, to the smallest thing you can think of when it comes to speaking, I would say that's probably bigger fear than jumping out of a doggone airplane.
Wow, folks, do you hear that?
Bigger fear than jumping out of a dog. Wow.
Think about the first time that you've taken that up. Think about the first time that you were released, car guys and car gals, those of you that worked on a lot in that capacity. Think about the first time that you were released. Some of you were happy and eager and pumped up and excited. And there's also that fear of, I'm going to flub this sucker up. I am going to totally jack up my word tracks. I forgot even how to say, hello, welcome to blank dealership, right? Hi. Like there's that fear that jumps in that you're going to mess something up. But understand that if you're the one that's leading the conversation, you're the one that's engaging, you're the one that's going with it. And even if you are, whether you're a keynote stage for a moment, you're standing, you're speaking, people are there.
Yep.
You're a public speaker. That's what's happening. I love that in the military, right? Even inside of leadership training, that's something that they had to teach us. That's something that there was a block of an instruction of how to become a block of instruction teacher, right? You had to go through that public speaking forum with all of your other soldiers there so that you can learn how to present a block of instructions to help people out. I'm sure that that's helped to give a little bit of guidance to you. I know it's helped me tremendously in being able to deliver a message and give a lesson, but you do that consistently. This is fruit begets fruit begets fruit. This is fruit bearing fruit. You breaking past the mold of your fear has then empowered you to create a business that is ultimately empowering many, many, many people to get over that same exact fear. And I can only imagine where other people would be had you not gotten past your own fear, that you even still today, you still get up, you jump on the show, you say, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm a little scared. I don't really like speaking too much, but I have something to say. There's more value on what it is that you have to say than there is put into you hiding away from the light or you hiding away from the microphone. So I want to encourage you all that are listening with that, take a piece out of David's book on this and understand that that fear that you're going through, somebody else is definitely going through it too, even if it's somebody that does it professionally for a living. But you have to get past you in order to help them. I love that. I love that you shared that, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. And you know what? That's why I share it, because one of the cool things that I learned in doing, having the experiences that I've had in speaking and podcasting and all that is that I've been backstage so many times with people that have a much, much bigger following and they're like even some that are celebrity status, right? And I watch them pace and they ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Should I do this? How do you feel about this? They're asking me this. I'm like, dude, you're asking me or I won't call a female a dude, but there are females as well that are, have these huge names that are, going through that struggle right before they go on stage. And I've also watched documentaries with celebrities like, for example, Conan O'Brien did one. I mean, that guy, you would think this guy has no fear, right? He's Conan O'Brien. He's on TV every night for years, whatever the case may be. When you follow his documentary, he was a nervous wreck before he went out on stage. And so to me, that inspired me, because it's like, okay, well, if they're going through that same thing they're doing it, I can do it as well. So you can do it if you're watching and you have that type of, reservation, if you will.
I agree with that so much, because here's the thing, like everybody did something for the first time. Just like Michael Jordan, he wasn't always able to shoot that jumper or dunk the basketball, right? And so many things. It takes repetition, it takes practice, it takes confidence that you build yourself. Now I remember when I would get up in front of my class, all the way to basically my sophomore year in high school, I used to tear up a little bit because I get so nervous. Like even just to read something in class at my desk while we're reading books, taking turns reading chapters or whatever.
I would
get
skip
nervous.
school.
Yeah, I hated it. I really did. I don't know what it was. I would rather be a class clown and make people laugh because it wasn't serious. But when it was time to be serious, like really go over something, it made me nervous because I was so nervous about what people would think, right? More so than what I was saying. But then you made the point, and I love that. He said there was one thing that you feared more than that, and it's not being heard. And 100% that was me too, man. And that's what made the difference for me. It was like, I need to be heard. I'm there. I have value. We all have value. Even if it's something that doesn't make sense to everyone, there's still something there to be learned, right? Something to be taught, something to be shared. And I absolutely love that you said that, because that is true. Folks, find that courage inside of you. Everybody does it for their first time. Everybody's nervous, even if they've done it 100 times. He said he's been doing it for decades, and he still gets that.
To do it.
And he still gets nervous before he speaks, folks. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay. Even when you get up there and you mess up. Guess what? I mess up every day. Every one of these episodes, every one of my quick brews, there's always a stumble somewhere, and that's okay. I move forward and I keep going. Actually, being imperfect is what makes it so perfect. Being imperfect is what makes it so much more relatable to the people in front of you. So understand it's okay to mess up. It's okay to stumble through your words sometimes when you're speaking. Just forgive, focus, and fly, and keep growing, right?
That's right.
Man, that's amazing. And you're bringing up some great points, and I love that you're sharing that with you and being with everybody and being honest about how you really truly feel about that, because that is true. It is exactly right, man. And I'm glad that you mentioned other people, celebrity status people, even back there pacing, worried about what they're going to say, because we all, once again, want to make sure that we deliver something that's going to be encouraging, something that they're going to be learned, that's something that'll be taught to people, something that they would believe is worth value to them. And if it's but here's the thing, it's always valuable. Every conversation, everybody you speak to, there's always something of value there. So understand that and keep growing, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. We're moving, and we got the 5th question coming up, and I'm excited to ask this 5th question, because after we're done with that, I do want to talk about what's getting ready to happen with Dave really soon. He's got a lot of great news to share, some fresh news, and we'll get to that. But the 5th question, man, I love this question, because out of all the things that you've done, you've been in this industry for a long time. I'm so honored that you were in it. This business is better because you're in it, man. And I'm so glad that you are. But through all this, you've had some great things happen to you. You've had some, accolades. You've been able to speak on stages. But out of all the stuff that you've been through and all the things that you've received, what has been the greatest reward for you up to this point?
Oh, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. It's using the positions that I've been in to elevate other people.
Yes, sir.
And this goes back to the first opportunities with that. Of course, are within a dealership. Being able to take a talent and move them along, help coach them along, and then see them become a manager, become this or that, and watch their world change. And then see them go on to do some really great things. I can, the original nucleus of guys that I came up with in sales are all, the actual nucleus. There were about 8 or 10 of us that were committed to the store when we were in sales, and every single one of them have been GMs, owners, just had huge success, which is really cool to watch. But where I really got an opportunity to help others was when we began being nationally recognized on Auto Dealer Live. And I was able to reach out, not just myself, but Dave Villa and all of our team. But I really focused on finding people that were doing things in the car business and then bringing them on board and spotlighting them. And one of my big things was when we started Auto Dealer Live was it was fantastic to have the elite in the industry on, right? It was great. We had the president of Edmunds, and we had we were being live streamed into the headquarters of Fiat Chrysler. And there were a lot of big moments in Auto Dealer Live early on. And, but my thing was, man, I want salespeople in here. I want to highlight what someone who puts their foot on the pavement every single day and has to create their income. I want them on the platform, and I want them sharing their story, especially when they're doing something that I know is something that is building their professional sales stock. And that's something I want to share real quick. This is something that is heavy on my heart. I came up with this about 4 or 5 years ago. And I always had it, but I didn't know how to name it. And I can remember that when I started and throughout my career, I kept trying to figure out, how do you measure yourself in the auto business? How do you stand out? What's the path to, becoming the next, floor manager, sales manager, internet manager, a GSM, new car manager, other than just waiting to see if someone's going to promote you, right? Yeah. So started thinking about this, and we all have a professional sales stock. And when we start being conscious of that is when we can really begin to start making some moves. Now, let me just share what professional sales stock is, or at least my definition. Yes. My definition of professional sales stock, it boils down to two things. One, the first thing is your character, your behavior, right? Because when I'm looking at someone potentially for the next big opportunity, the one thing I'm looking for is I got to have someone that has character, integrity, behavior, someone that when I'm in the showroom and a customer walks in and they say, hey, where's your parts department? It's not the person that points down the hall. It's the person that says, let's go see, right? Yes. We walk that person down to the parts department and make a professional intro and care for them, right? That's something we're not getting paid for as a salesperson. It's not our customer, but what does that show? That shows character. That's someone I want to put the hands of the store in sometime in the future, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is a big one. This is a really, really, really big one, because you got to have both of these really to ultimately have high stock, high professional sales stock. And that is, it's someone who can generate revenue to the organization that they wouldn't otherwise see, that they wouldn't otherwise get. So for example, on an individual and corporate level, we're poised as a dealer or as an individual salesperson or in any position, we're poised to probably make a certain amount of sales, right? We could just open up and just, kind of stroll along. We're going to make a certain number of sales. Or even if we put in some good effort, we're going to make a certain number of sales. But where you begin to separate yourself is when you begin to start doing things, when you pull business in that wouldn't have otherwise showed up. So for example, that could be in a cold call strategy. That could be in that type of environment. It could be in your referrals, the way that you go after the referrals. It can even be subtly. This can even happen as well. I don't want to say, maybe subtly is a bad word for this, but part of that is building our sales skills and having the tenacity to stick with a deal, to overcome an objection, to fight for a deal, to make the car the star, right? Things like that when we're doing the demo, going the extra mile. Because here's the thing that every single one of us can identify with. Every single one of us has had that moment where we met a customer and we knew for a fact that when they walked in, they had no intention of buying. And they might have said no, 20 times. But for whatever reason, on that day, with that deal, we did what we knew we were supposed to do, and we stuck it out, and we put the tag on at the end, and we went home. The difference is going home tired or going home tired and accomplished. We went home tired and accomplished, and we knew from the bottom of our heart, the biggest satisfaction was knowing that it was something we did that caused that deal to happen rather than let that deal go. So now if you want to talk about your professional sales stock, start examining yourself in those manners. And I think that hopefully it will inspire you. It really served me well in my career.
Those are two. That is great advice. I'm going to tell you something, folks. If you didn't hear that, you need to go back and watch this on the replay. It's going to be everywhere. It's at minute 50 to this point. I want you guys, I mark that down because I'm going to cut that and use that because that is great advice, my man. I mean, honestly, that's from somebody who's been everywhere, who's hit every department, who's been whatever manager you can imagine. He's done that. Whatever type of training you can imagine, he's done that. Whatever type of people that you can imagine that he's trained, he's done that. And he also, so he understands how to get that professional sales stock up. And if you folks want to grow and you want to be more in this business than you are now, examine yourself. Really, you need to hold accountability to yourself and measure that. Write it down. Know what you're doing. Write a journal, whatever it is. Do something so you can mark where you're at. It's not necessarily for other people to see. It's for you to see. There's something about confidence in yourself. When you have confidence in sales, man, does that take you a long way. You may not even have the best product knowledge in the world, but you have confidence in yourself in your ability to help people. You have confidence in yourself to be able to take somebody from, I'm just looking to, thank you for helping me buy this car today, right? I didn't realize it would be this easy. That's why I was just looking, and a lot of times what we do is we overcomplicate things. We try to make things too hard, but really it gets down to those basic things right there, folks. Work hard on those things, show what you can be, and your professional sales stock will jump up, much like how that Shiba Inu is right now, right? That whole it's doubled. But anyway, no, that's fantastic. I love that you talked about that being your greatest reward, that you're able to see other people shift in this business. We talked about your 3 people earlier. We talked about Matthew Coffey, Dave Villa, and of course Grant Cardone. And then there's many more, but those were big names right there. And that's exactly what you're doing with others. And that's what makes having a reward like that in your heart amazing. And I guarantee Grant would probably say something very similar. Dave Villa would say something similar, and so would Matthew. It's not about what we do. We all work hard. We know what our accomplishments are, but there's nothing better than planting a few seeds in somebody that you love and watching that grow and blossom into the most beautiful fruit-bearing tree that you could ever imagine, where they're always, and then they're sharing that fruit with others. And then you see that legacy of growth happen. That is how we leave this planet. And that's how you leave this planet with a smile on your face, I believe, is that legacy that you leave behind. And this way you will always be remembered in one way or the other as somebody who tried to help. So, man, great stuff. So,
absolutely love it.
Man, you got anything you want to touch on that?
I'm completely satisfied feeling with this interview. There's so much that he poured out there, folks. I mean, when you get that good cup of coffee, you're drinking some good stuff. And Dave is dropping some incredible stuff in here. Make sure that if you did not hear everything that he just said or went over, go back, listen to it, rewind it, and cut those pieces out and really digest them. Really take that in, whether it's the fear of speaking into being empowered to go do what it is that you're supposed to do in helping other people out. Remember, you all have value. Dave is only in this industry right now trying to pull people closer and up onto the stage that they're created to speak from, right? And everybody's stage is different. Your stage could be the lot. It could be sitting in the passenger seat next to the customer, right? That's your stage. That's your moment. The show is on, folks. It is time for you to do what it takes to, I love it, increase the value of your professional stock. Folks, what is it that you're trying to achieve today? Dave has probably already seen multiple people achieve that.
Yes.
And could probably give you a little bit of advice as to how to go through that. But many of times that advice is going to be leaning back into, don't be afraid to be you. He's going to give you the opportunity to be you. He's going to help train you into being you, right? A lot of times we have to be trained into being who we are because we're so just filled with extra distractions.
Not to cut you off, but keep note what Lou just said there. It's who you are. We don't train people to be us. Dave doesn't train people to be Dave. He trains you to bring the best potential out of you. Now that's the key there. It's no one wants, we don't want robots. We don't want, the same clones going down the street selling cars, though it would be kind of cool to have a bunch of Daves selling a bunch of, cars. But that being said, but the point is, it's to be the best version of yourself. We're all different. We all have different perspectives, different ideas, different thoughts. That is what makes this beautiful, this world beautiful. So be the best version of you. Raise your professional sales stock, and not try to do my sales stock like it's Dave's sales stock. No, do it you. Do it your way, but do it with these principles. Do it with these processes. Processes are meant to be there. I'm telling you, these principles are meant to be there. So use those, and I promise you'll grow quite a bit.
And do it in a selfless way, whether he's jumping out of an airplane or he's helping to train multiple incredible car guys and
writing best-selling books. Right? So he's got that one right there. You guys see it back there. It's the race to the finish line.
Put that up by the face. Put that up. Hold the book up. Let us see that.
Look at that thing.
Yeah,
race, folks. You can find that on Amazon. It is an amazing book. I can't wait to get mine signed. So
love it. and the end of that line, right, is race to the finish line, folks. So many times we're in a race and we don't know where we're going. So many times we're in a race and we're just in a hurry and we don't actually have our focus gauged in. We don't even have the finish line in our scope, right, Dave?
Yeah, can I say something real quick on the focus?
Please, come on.
My gosh, here's something really amazing that we can learn a lot from nature, right? So I had this greyhound dog I adopted, and I started researching greyhounds. And here's something so crazy that I learned. First of all, you'll typically never see a greyhound that is not on a leash. And the reason is they are what we call sight hounds. And instinctively, they chase when they see a small animal move. So if you didn't have them on a leash, they're probably going to get hit by a car. So we all know that they're the second fastest animal on the planet. And we're all familiar with dog racing and what occurs, how that works. That right, the little rabbit comes around the track, the little fake rabbit, and they open the gate, and all the dogs are chasing that rabbit. Let me just share something I learned about focus from a greyhound. Right. They said in this research, when I researched about the greyhounds, they said that the greyhound, when he locks in on the target, he doesn't even see the other dogs that are around him.
Wow.
Chasing him.
So focus like a greyhound, my friends. Focus like a greyhound.
Focus. And then I'm gonna beg a favor from you guys, because I know we're probably getting near the end, but can I just share a couple more things that I think
I want you to drop a bunch of stuff. You finish this show out. This is your show. We want to hear all the fresh news that you could drop.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to give you one more kind of overall just mindset, and then I'm going to give you something that will address where we're at right now with used car acquisition and our inventory issues. So let's just talk about the first. This is the biggest word that you could write down that will help you stay focused, in my opinion, in the right direction. And just write this one word down. It's approach. Approach. Now, when I think about approach, and obviously as a trainer, this is huge for me, but I think about, what's the best way to do the next process, right? And every time it comes down to our approach, right? How we approach the desk as a salesperson, right? How we approach the customer, how a manager approaches a salesperson, how we approach a sales meeting. Our approach will guarantee what our result is. So I want you to lock that in and think about that. I can go way deeper into approach, but that's in the interest of time. Mindset wise, think about your approach before you take any action, right? Think about your success on the phone, how you're going to approach that next call. Don't just pick up the phone and contact someone. Actually, and by the way, on the phone, I can't help but drop this. On a phone call, you got 3 missions, right? You got 3 missions. You got to get their attention. And I'm going to give you a practical way to do that here in just a moment. You got to get their attention. You got to connect with the customer. And then you have to have a compelling reason for them to show up. You got to get their attention. You got to connect with them. And then you have to have a compelling reason to show up. You give them that, and you'll have, not only will you increase your appointments, but you'll go through the roof on your actual show rate in the showroom floor. So let's talk about that now in a practical sense and help at the same time the situation that we're in right now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a nugget. I believe it's the first place, by the way, first place I'm headed to if I walked into a showroom today. Give me the lease list. Give me the lease list. Let me see all those leases. Where do I get those leads? Give them to me right now. I'm getting on the phone. I'm bringing people in today. Here's how we do that, okay? Here's how we do that. Remember, what was the secret success of the phone call? Get their attention, connect with them, give them a compelling reason to show up. I'm going to do that all by using the truth and what's happening that they can relate to right now in the marketplace.
Yes.
Here's an example. I get on the phone. I call the first lease customer, right? Let's say they got we all know that lease customers get inundated the last 6 months of their deal, or the last 3 months, or even the last 12 months. Who knows? But I want to look at 24 months of lease left, and I want to give that. I want to do a little bit of research, see where they're at, see if I can kind of gauge a little bit of the value. But it almost doesn't matter. I would say probably you should just go in blindly. But what I want to do is I want to pick up the phone, and I want to call this customer. I got to get their attention, right? Yep. So I don't want to sound like a sales call, and I don't want to sound like I'm calling from a call center. So what I do immediately, hey, it's Dave over at ABC Motors. Is this John? Is this Johnny? Yeah, it's Johnny, right? Hey, Johnny, look, normally when I'm calling, it's typically a sales call, but it's a little bit different call today. Right? I'm telling them right up front, this is not a sales call. By the way, it's not. Here's a fact. Here's a fact of what's happening in the marketplace right now. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, however long it was, when we leased that customer a car, And to me, this is the number one selling point. So another little lesson, number one selling point of a lease is that the lease company or the lender takes the resale risk for you. They take the resale gamble is what I call it. They're going to gamble today what the car is going to be worth in 3 years. And they're going to lock that in and say, we're committed to this number all throughout the lease. What the lease company forgot to plan on was COVID, right? There's no way they could know. And we're in a position right now where cars are going up in value on the used car market, which is unheard of, right? So it means that there's a high likelihood that these people are in a completely different position than they would have been. So now I can use the truth and what's going on in the marketplace and give this person an opportunity they had no idea that they had. So let me go ahead and continue with that call. Hey, Johnny, it's Dave over at ABC Motors. Look, normally when I call from the dealership, and I'll say it just like this, normally when I call from the dealership, it's usually a sales call. But the reason that I'm calling today is something has gotten our owner's attention, and that's the fact that we've seen a multitude of our lease customers that are in a current lease. We've been seeing them turn in their cars to the lease company with equity that they didn't realize they had. And they basically gave that money back. I'm not sure if you're aware, but obviously with what's going on in the marketplace right now, just like the housing boom, it's happening with cars. There's a shortage. Cars have actually gone up in value, which is crazy. And 3 years or a year ago, when you leased this car, the lease company, which is great for you, by the way, took the gamble on the resale. Well, they didn't count on COVID. So now there's an opportunity. And rather than see any of our customers give away their equity, we want to at least let you know what the equity is. So let's go ahead and get you down here to look at the car. We'll tell you what that is. You don't have to buy a car from us, but if you want to, we can show you all kinds of options. But the biggest thing is we don't want to see you hand back money that belongs to you. Fair enough? So that's kind of the insight of the call. Now, if I receive that call, I want to know, because I guarantee you, most people that lease cars for 2, 3, 4 years, there's a reason they're leasing, and they're not the typical buyer that wants to keep a car 10 years. So for me personally, I lease a car for 3 years, 6 months in, man, I'm ready to trade. I saw some people. The problem is I can't. And I also believe the number one reason people buy cars is because they can. It's not because they don't want to, or they want to. They want to all the time. But economically, sometimes we just can't, right? Well, now we offer an opportunity where they can. And a lot of these situations, and another thing I'll also share, this is, that's the way to get people in right now and get a great car in an acquisition and also help your customer. By the way, you really are helping your customer. Look, if you leased a customer a car and they're sitting on equity that they turn back in because it happens every day, we just did them a disservice. I mean, we hurt them. We hurt them because they lost the money that they had and didn't even know it. So another way that we can set ourselves up for success right now is because we know that, the market is crazy. Today's the best time to lease a car. Not only are residuals high, but think about this. We're paying way over sticker, right? Why would we not lease a car right now and get write this down, get the free equity protection. Free equity protection. Free equity protection. It's free. I mean, if the market crashes, you don't. It's awesome. That's equity protection. If the market goes up, you get a check. I don't know of any.
It's a win-win.
I don't know of anything you can do other than leasing a car where they're going to tell you on a depreciating item, hey, you know what? We're going to guarantee you we'll buy it back for 20 grand in 3 years. And we're not going to change our mind even if the bottom falls out. And by the way, if the bottom doesn't fall out and the market soars, we'll just give you the money instead.
Wow.
That's insane. And yet that's what a lease is. So, we should be leasing those cars. Plus, if we're building a business, we're building a business when we're leasing. So anyway, I'm getting off the soapbox on that, but hopefully those couple of things right there, I just wanted to give you something that'll impact
Thank you for bringing that, man. Thank you for bringing that. Attention, connect, and a compelling reason for them to show up, folks. And he just gave you guys an example of what you can do right now in today's marketplace. Right now, that is real-time advice. Go out and search that. If you have a store that has a lease, if you're not touching the lease customers, you're missing great opportunity, not for you to move units, but to serve your community, to serve your clients, to give them an opportunity to gain that equity that they're missing out on, because if they just go drop it off, most dealers are just going to soak it up, right? And then they take advantage of it and they get to use that. Now, and for you out there, if you really care about what you do and you really want to make a career out of this and you really want to go forward, lead with love. And if you lead with love, I promise you, just like he's talking about, they will come back in drones. They will make sure that everybody they know comes and buys a car from you. They make sure that everyone that they can believe even thinks about a vehicle is going to come see you, because you treated them and you did something that you didn't have to do, but you really should do, right? You're treating your customers right, which in turn, they'll treat you right. Man, I love this. One hand shaking the other. That is called a fair deal. I love that, man. And that is some great, great advice. Now, before we get out of here today, Dave, I do want to, you mentioned in the message when we talked that you might be looking to maybe stretch your arms out a little bit. What exactly are you looking to do right now?
Yeah, so thank you. So, the last 8 or 9 years, the big focus has been with Auto Dealer University, Auto Dealer Live, really connecting with dealers all over the country in not only learning, obviously, I learn more from them than they do from me, but being able, and that is sort of, we talked about this earlier, that's the benefit of the position we're in with having this opportunity to network with top dealers all over the country, is that we can see and pull from anything that is working, that has a good return. Also, we get a ton more insight into industry partners, those industry partners that support the entire transaction, from our DMS, our CRM, our software, our data mining, all of these different things that help us as dealers, being able to actually become intimately familiar with a lot of these companies and understand which ones are really helping move the needle for dealers. That has been the focus, and going into dealerships and doing the live training. Oh, by the way, I just got to plug this, the Auto Dealer University, kind of like the conference coming up. That is also one of our big things, is that we have a media team and we pull the cameras into the showroom for our training. So when you are a client with Auto Dealer University, we have hundreds, by the way, in the US and Canada. But when you're a client, you get to walk into not only a live training session that you can see. So here's an example. I'll just give you an example. For example, here locally, Brandon Honda is one that we did. I did a live training in their store, and there was a message that day, and it was how to prepare for an appointment. In other words, we've already set the appointment. Here's the beauty of an appointment, by the way. There is a time gap between the time that you make the appointment and the time that the customer actually shows.
Right.
That gives us an opportunity to stack a lot in our favor to have an amazing experience. So the point to that, though, is I did this training live at Brandon Honda. But the cool thing about Auto Dealer University and my particular style of training is that as we went through everything, and other dealers from all over can see this live training going on, as we went through everything, unlike, well, I won't say unlike, that's probably not a good word to say, but we don't just stop at that particular subject matter. What I like to do in a live training session, because those opportunities are rare for those salespeople and those management teams to be able to go further, if they're engaged in learning something. So the point, though, is that I do a complete open, we do open, I called it open phones or open lines. But at the end of a training, after all those questions are handled, I just ask the entire room, hey, anything else? Anyone think of anything that they feel like they might want to see a little more growth in, or any question that you have? I don't care if it's finance, used cars, deliveries, phone calls, whatever. Let's roll. It's open, that's completely exposing yourself. It's kind of like a stump the chump, right? Yeah. Ask the trainer type thing. So, but the great part of that is that organically we can now add value to a whole bunch of individuals that maybe are struggling or wanted some growth in one particular thing that training wasn't about, but we can go down those roads and hit everything. So anyway, that's one of the beauties of Auto Dealer University. But back to your question, what's going on with me now? So through the amazing opportunity to be able to do this in store after store after store after store, and sit with owners and dealers and consulting, I have reached a point in my career where I want to go back now into a store and create a story for that particular store, one particular store where, whether it's a 50 car store or a 500 car store, let's take that store, let's move it to the next level. And that is what I'm making myself available for now.
Big
I've
news.
had some amazing offers from different parts of the country, but I have not made any decisions yet as far as where I'm going to land, but I'm going to do that very soon. So I do appreciate the platform to be able to at least share that.
Man.
And if you're a dealer watching and you just want to have a little bit of conversation with me, you're welcome to reach out. My information's on the screen now, and I appreciate you guys. And you guys know, even before I was a guest, I made it very clear that myself and our team, Auto Dealer Live, Auto Dealer University, IPD, we fully endorse you guys as really the place to go for dealers to watch,
Oh my goodness.
to watch and learn.
You have
We
no
honor
idea
that.
how much that
We
makes us
appreciate that.
smile.
And that endorsement is so
Huge.
valued to
Big
us.
time to us. Yeah.
But we want to do the same with you and let everybody in the industry know that you, Dave Cribbs, are 100%
CGC approved. Yes, sir. Congratulations on your future, folks. You dealers out there, reach out to him. Even if he doesn't come into your store, he will give you advice. He'll show you the next rope. He just dropped a lease dime on y'all.
Goodness.
Get on that stuff.
on.
He's all about helping the future. He is a good man. He has a great heart, and he's about helping people get better at what they do, especially their approach, right? So I'm excited that you're going off to do those things. He's going to go out and show you guys how you could turn a store that's even doing well to better, right? Or if you're not doing so well, to great. I just read a book, Good to Great, and it's a great book, man. And you have all those the things that people have that want to go from good to great, man. And I'm so excited that we had you on the show.
So excited.
And thank you so much once again. When we came down to the Last Now event, you guys blessed us. You honored us so much that to the point where we consider you all family. So anything we could ever do for you, you let us know. And I know it's the same way the other way. That's why it's called
This
a two-way street.
microphone is yours, brother. And as much as you want to encourage the industry to get to that next level, please, 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 let's continue to share this. I love that we dropped that ACC on y'all so y'all can act right when you get out there and deal inside of the industry. Love you all. Hey, let's get ready to go off and do what it is that we do today. You've been sitting over here on social media. You need to get to work, y'all. I appreciate y'all watching the show. We thank you for hanging out
to
with
work,
us
bro.
today.
We about to go help
some
out
work
a
to
deal
do.
up here. That's right.
Sisters of Savings, here
We're coming
we come
for you.
today.
Oh.
We are excited to have some fun up in here. Car guys and car gals. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Frelin Arts, the subprime hero.
And we've been having a blast brewing solutions with one of the best, Mr. Dave
Cribbs.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Car Guy Coffee podcast today. Check us out everywhere that social media is. We encourage you go to carguycoffee.com, get you some of that new brew, and maybe get you a little swag too.
Little swag. That hat,
So
that
much
shirt,
fun.
it's all there. Hey,
Appreciate
listen,
you, brother.
reach out to us. We reach out to you. We love you. Dave, thank you for being here. Hold on one second. We're going to close this thing out with a quick video, and I want to just talk to you before we go. But, man, I appreciate you for being here. Folks, if you don't know, now you know. Make sure if you want to reach out to him, you got his email and you got his phone number. It's right there on the screen for you. We love you guys. Have a great day. Go out and crush it.
Everybody that's been commenting, we love you all. Thank you so much for all the comments. We're going to get back to giving you some love. Oh, man, we can rattle through Jay, Amanda, Facebook user, Sean Gallagher,
Sally Ann.
Sally Ann.
Yeah, my friend all the way
What's up?
from England doing her 75 hard
AJ.
challenge. What's going on? She's not even automotive as she's checking this out. I love that.
With the electrolytes.
Yeah, she was the electrolytes. Yes.
Yes.
What a cool accent. Yeah.
Melissa, Russell Hill, Ron G. Love
And
you
so
all.
many others on
thankful.
LinkedIn that we don't get the comments from. We appreciate you all. LinkedIn, everyone out there. We'll get back to those posts. We will comment back to you. Thank you so much for being here. Go out and grow, folks. Go out and grow.
Make something happen. Love you all. We're out.